I'm gonna show you some tips and tricks so you can make easily 3D printable models. Let's get started. For modeling, we'll be using Blender, a free open source software which can do an incredible amount of things. VFX, sculpting, video editing, but that's not what I'm going to be showing you. I'm going to show you how to make your models 3D printable. If you have no idea how to make models, you should check out Blender Guru and CG Geek. I'll be working with Blender 2.79. If you want to download the latest version, you can do that, but the UI will be a bit different and it requires a slightly beefier PC, which I unfortunately don't have. Let me quickly enable screencast keys so you can see which keys I'm pressing. So now you can see which keys I'm pressing at any time right here. The first thing I wanted to show you was the Union tool. So let's quickly bring in a sphere. Okay, so let's say I wanted to 3D print this. Right now they're two completely separate objects. So one thing you could do is select both by holding Shift and then joining them together. The problem with this is that if we now go into wireframe mode, the vertices from the sphere are inside the cube, and they're actually still two different objects since the vertices don't connect. The only difference is that Blender sees it as one object, but it's still not 3D printable. So let's separate the two again by selecting one of the two, pressing P and clicking on Selection. Now to use the Union tool, select one of the two objects, go to the Modifier tab, click Add Modifier, Boolean, change operation from intersect to union, set object to be the second object, and finally click on Apply. Now just delete the old sphere and go into wireframe mode. It's kind of hard to see, but they are both properly merged together now, and you could perfectly print this if you'd want to. Before I start making the elephant, I'm quickly going to import some reference images. This isn't specific for 3D printing, but whenever possible, use reference images. It'll save you so much time. For the elephant, I started with a cube, cut it in half and applied a mirror modifier. That way it will mirror whatever I'm doing on the right side over to the left. I added some loop cuts and started working on the basic shape. Once the basic shape was done, I started working on rounding everything off and adding all the details like the tusk, tail and the ears. So you might have noticed that I'm trying not to use too many polygons, which doesn't have anything to do with the 3D printing process or anything. I'm just going for a certain low poly style, which it doesn't have yet, so I found a cool little trick to give it that style really quickly. Go to the modifiers tab, add modifier, triangulate, add another modifier, displace, add a new texture, go to the texture tab and change image or movie to clouds. Now just experiment with the strength and cloud texture size. Once you have something you're happy with, first apply the triangulate modifier, then the displace modifier. This method might give some problems sometimes. For example, in my case it made the ears way too thin to print, but that's not a problem, just go through by hand and fix all the small problems, if there even are. Once the model is done and you're sure there are no problems with it, like vertices inside the model, overlapping faces, or two vertices in exactly the same place, you can export it as a .stl file and open it in Cura, another free software. Here you can set the scale, placement and everything else. First, let's set the basic settings. I've seen a lot of people who always set infill to at least 30 or even 40%, but I've been experimenting with this a while and 20% is more than enough for normal prints. By using less infill, your prints will be faster, cost less and be better for the environment. Of course, depending on if you have overhang or not, enable supports. For example, in my case I have the trunk, tusks, tail and belly, which all need supports. Also, turn on adhesion if you have trouble with your prints not sticking to the bed. Now let's get into the advanced settings. There are two settings I had to change to get the supports to work properly. 1. The support overhang angle. This number defines where the support should be placed and how much. This number actually works kind of in reverse, so higher means less support, lower means more support. And 2. Support density. This one is pretty self-explanatory, but it determines how densely the supports will be placed. More means better overhangs, but it will be harder to remove and leave more marks. If you've got a more simple model, you probably don't need to change any of the advanced settings, but if you have a really complex model with a lot of overhangs, like mine, you should probably go through all the advanced settings and set them manually to get the best results. Once you're happy with the size, placement, print settings and everything, just upload the G-codes to an SD card and start printing. When it's finally done, all you need to do is remove the support. Okay, so before I show you the final result, I wanted to show you this little guy. He's got one ear, no tusks, no tail, and a lot of marks from the supports. I just quickly wanted to show this to show the importance of carefully choosing your settings, even the advanced ones. The one I printed now is also a bit bigger, but the main difference is still the settings. Here he finally is. I think it turned out really great with all the small details and everything. And as always, if you liked the video, like and consider subscribing, I'd really appreciate it.